Who is the most overrated person in history? Waldo. Why should anyone even care to search for him? He's done nothing. The fact that he's always hiding is probably because he's done something wrong. Plus that ducker only has one shirt. Till Waldo is just a wandering homeless man. Douglas MacArthur was obsessed with his legacy while being a far less capable leader than many of the other overlooked commanders in the Pacific Theater. He spent thousands of lives in battles on islands that had little strategic significance. Declared the battle for the Philippines over while intense fighting raged on, and was disliked by many serving under him. As your go listen to, read Max Hastings' Retribution. The Battle for Japan, for a great deep dive into the Pacific War. Added, over. My grandpa had a story about MacArthur. He didn't like him very much. So Grandpa was stationed somewhere in the Philippines and MacArthur was scheduled to spend an extended visit at their base. Now, MacArthur traveled everywhere with a full-size refrigerator. Apparently. Have you ever tried to lift a 1940s refrigerator? They are heavy as shit. So Grandpa's platoon gets assigned to fridge duty. They haul it off the boat and up this giant hill where MacArthur was to be staying. No sooner do they get it up the hill than they get word that there's a possible air raid incoming, and the general needs to be evacuated to a facility at the bottom of the hill. And where MacArthur goes, so goes his fridge. Back down the hill they go. But then the air raid is a false alarm, and MacArthur goes back up the hill. Back up the hill they go. According to Grandpa, this happened a good 34 times during this one visit. So when MacArthur made that famous speech about "I shall return to the Philippines," Grandpa's response was, "I sure as hell hope not." Don't forget he wanted 50 nukes to nuke Manchuria during the Korean War. Australians have a special dislike of him too. He was extremely dismissive and critical of Australian troops' combat abilities, notwithstanding that, for a time, we were the only army that had beaten the Japanese on land. He blamed Australian troops for his own strategic errors. Henry VIII, let's be honest. All he did was strong-arm the church so he could marry another woman, the fat greedy sod. Do people consider him a good king? A lot of people know about him because he's the most recognizable British monarch aside from the Queen due to his penchant for divorce and splitting Catholicism, but I never got the impression that people idolized him or anything. Ioannis Metaxas. He was the leader of Greece from 1936 to 1941. Most famous for not surrendering to fascist Italy during WW II. The only problem is that Metaxas was a fascist dictator himself. Yes, but he was our fascist dictator. I thought he was the founder of Iowa and Texas. Lajos Duck in Kossuth. He's a Hungarian history figure who lived 1802-1894. But most notably he declared himself as governor-president of the Kingdom of Hungary during the 1848-49 revolution. For those of you who are not really familiar with Hungarian history, the short variant is, we were ducked by everyone and never had independence since the early 1300s. This time we had beef with the Habsburgs. We really wanted independence. Have Hungarian as the official language and the liberation of the serfdom sounds cool. Before the revolution, the two most outstanding political figures were Kossuth and Count Istvn. Széchenyi. He's actually a really cool dude, and I think he deserved the title, the greatest Hungarian. They both wanted the same things, but Kossuth wanted everything ASAP, while Széchenyi understood that change takes time. So of course they didn't like each other. With some other factors, Kossuth ended up bullying Széchenyi out of politics. I give Kossuth the credit for being smart and charismatic, who could motivate people with his speeches. So one time, he basically started a rally amongst common folk, because other politicians told him that discrowning the king was a bad idea. But because of the massive amount of people surrounding them, they couldn't really say no. So they did discrown the king during the revolution. We sucked ass. Not getting into details, we had more downs than ups. Also some minorities revolted against Kossuth, who would not give them any rights. Enter one of my favorite historical figure, Artr Gergely. He was the greatest general in this whole scene. And finally he has his own exhibition. He actually won against some Austrian army corps. Kossuth hated him most likely because he feared his power, and did everything to remove him from charge. But the Austrian King Ferdinand V asked the Russian Emperor Nicholas I for help. So, Hungary is a small country with a small population. Russia, on the other hand. You see where this is going. Gergely wanted to go west, and destroy the Austrian army before the Russians arrive, otherwise we're ducked. Sounds great. Not for Kossuth. He wanted to wait until the two armies merge in the east, because if they lose, he can emigrate to Turkey. The latter happened, and Kossuth, as his lost ducking move, stepped back from being governor-president and appointed Gergely. A few days later, on August 13th, it was clear that Hungary had lost in a hopeless situation. Gergely signed a surrender at Vilgos. Kossuth emigrated to Turkey, but tried to control everything from afar, writing the Cassandra letter, that if we make peace with the Austrians, Hungary will no longer exist, which was bullshit. Our industry and agriculture ducking blossomed after. As a really great university professor once said, Kossuth threw a big rock up in the air and pushed Gergely under it. Basically he threw him under the bus. What baffles me about this absolutely garbage of a person, that he has the biggest mausoleum in all of Hungary. It's made out of gold, marble and all that jazz. You know what Gergely has? A thing black iron cross. God, I hate him so much. By the way, he died in Italy. And he still has a huge following because he was so great that every ducking town has to have it. Least on road named after him is here. I love this. I don't need drunk history. I need angry ranting history. Thanks for the education and entertainment. Wife is Hungarian. I fell in love with her in Budapest. Remember our walks in the Kossuth Square and passing by so many times by the Kossuth Lajos Tér metro station. This guy's name is everywhere. I really thought he was a hero. Another interesting Hungarian figure is Place Cheliki. Overrated or not? Give it a read. Thanks for the brief history lesson. This is an excellent comment. Coco Chanel I. I've recently only just found out she was apparently Nazi agent who went under the codename Westminster. She spent most of WW2 in Paris in the Ritz, sleeping with Nazi officers, and had direct contact to Himmler and Goebbels. She even insisted all Jewish directors of her brand be removed. Haha. I searched Coco Chanel on Google. One of the top results was her life in pictures. Super weird that it totally blanks out anything around 19,301,950. The current owners of Chanel are Jewish, so who got the last laugh? I think I read once that she used the anti-Jewish laws of the Vichy regime to force Jews who had bought some shares part of the business back. Also, the perfume smells weird. Wait, what? The actual duck? Guy Fawkes. He was a minor cog in a conspiracy that he didn't even know all that much about. He was tasked with a dead simple objective, and he failed. He gave up the names of all the co-conspirators that he knew about, but most of them operated on a much higher level than this chump, so they got off Mosel T scot-free. He had one job and he ducked up three. Basically, he doesn't deserve the pages that his story is written on in history books. The HBO miniseries Gunpowder puts forward a very realistic representation of Guy Fawkes' emo. Recommend for anyone with 4 hours to kill. In fairness, I can't blame him for snitching on his compatriots. They had time and lots of very pointy and/or hot instruments, and knowledge on how to keep someone alive quite a while with such things inserted in rude places. Guy Fawkes night. I still can't work out if most people are celebrating his attempt or his failure. I 100% thought this said Guy Fieri, and then I read the rest and thought I missed some huge news. You're famous 'cause of Alan Moore's third best book, Long May Herb Reign. I'm gonna have to go with Hitler. His paintings really weren't that great. Thank you for watching. Comment obstacles if you have reached this far into the video. Have a good day.